it's time for Spotlight on the Saints. Remember, a saint is someone who lives a life that lets the sun shine through. Sometimes when I think about saints, I have a vision of a person who is very loving, spiritual, patient, and perfect. Not only that, but they were probably like that their whole life. That as a child, they were loving, spiritual, patient, and perfect. Now, in their teens, they were loving, spiritual, patient, and perfect. Even as a young adult, they were loving, spiritual, patient, and perfect. I think that I might do this as a way to give me a pass to avoid trying to be like a saint. I assure you, and I can provide witnesses for that matter, that I was not loving, spiritual, patient, and perfect as a child, or as a teen, or as a young adult. We forget that saints weren't born saints. They were born humans. Now, I realize that parents look on their newborn babies as perfect humans, but that perfect perception can quickly fade when the newness wears off as the human transforms into a teenager. In his book, A Woman of No Importance, Oscar Wilde wrote this line: "The only difference between a saint and a sinner is that every saint has a past and every sinner has a future." While for some saints, their journey began with the bright light event of revelation, but for most it was a process, not of bright lights, but sometimes of dark shadows. Today we're shining the spotlight on a saint who was described as a teen and as a young adult as careless. But after being a prisoner of war, over time he realized that a life worth living is a life that's lived for others. Today we'll turn the spotlight on Saint Jerome Emiliani, patron of orphans and abandoned children, whose feast day is February the 9th. A careless soldier for the city of Venice, Jerome was captured in an outpost town and chained in a dungeon. In prison, Jerome had a lot of time to think, and he gradually learned how to pray. When he later escaped, he returned to Venice, where he began his studies for the priesthood. In the years after his ordination, events again called Jerome to a decision and a new lifestyle. Plague and famine were sweeping northern Italy, so Jerome began caring for the sick and feeding the hungry out of his own expenses. While serving the sick and the poor, he soon resolved to devote himself and his property solely for others, particularly for abandoned children. He founded 3 orphanages, a shelter for penitent prostitutes, and a hospital. Around 1532, Jerome and 2 other priests established a religious order, the Clerks of Regular of Somasca, dedicated to the care of orphans and the education of youth. There are currently about 500 Somascans serving around the world. They provide staff for boys' homes, they serve in 95 parishes, and engage in other ministries. Jerome died in 1537 from a disease he caught while tending to the sick. He was canonized in 1767, and in 1928, Pius XI named him the patron of orphans and abandoned children. But so what, now what? We don't look at the saints like you would look at a historical figure that might be on a history test. No, we look at saints for the lessons of their lives and what they have to show us about how we can live our life today. So am I using my lack of perfection as an excuse for not making progress? Am I truly ready to live my life for others, a life worth living? Thanks for watching. My name is Dave, and I'm not in charge.